Welcome to the 38th edition of Make Pro Wrestling Majestic again. My name is Tiger Height.
And I'm Peanut Gallery.
And we have not done the audio yet.
So we have not done the audio, so we have no idea who the champion is.
Yes, but we will not be covering Hard to Kill and the third night of Wrestle Kingdom. Number one, we haven't watched the third night of Wrestle Kingdom yet. And number two, we're not doing 4 fucking shows in a show. That'd be absurd.
But we are covering the 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom, and we are going to cover Hard to Kill tonight.
We are covering Hard to Kill tonight.
Yes, we are Hard to Kill.
Okay,
well, no, you don't have those.
I don't have that ready. No, we were going to cover Hard to Kill and Night 3 next week.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. So that's next week. So let's talk about this week. Let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 and Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. It's also complicated. But they were both okay. I mean, there were some good shit.
There were some good matches, but nothing that kind of stood out to me.
Sho versus Yo started the show. Just ironically. Well, sorry, his name is Sho.
I know.
What am I supposed to do with that? The match was good. Yeah. I just felt like it should have been more because it was a grudge match. What the fuck are they doing?
Right.
They're wrestling. It's like if it's a grudge match, you don't wrestle.
Right.
It was a roll up for Yo to
weird.
win.
Yeah, it felt kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like this is a grudge match, but they've already had the rivalry. I think it's kind of come and gone at this point.
No, this was the blow off, which I was fine with, but they just kind of fucked it up because they wrestled like 3 times already.
Well, that's what I mean. What I mean is like this whole thing is just come and gone.
The bloom is off the rose.
Right.
Like, why did they have to do it that way? It was just ridiculous. It was still a good match.
Yeah.
But when you have a grudge match, you don't want to sit there and do fucking chain wrestling with them. That's stupid.
Exactly.
So let's do our big throw everybody in a tag team match. Hiroshi Tanahashi and the Mega Coaches. Takahashi is there taking on, obviously, Bullet Club and obviously Taichi Ishimori is covered up by Peanut Gallery. So, this one, it was a fine match. This is, I'm going to bitch about this later, but just as a technical aspect of it, they are building the Tanahashi-Kenta no disqualification match in this match, which is not what they're supposed to do.
Right. That's what they used this for.
That's what they did. It was stupid.
I agree.
It was a fine match, though. Obviously, everybody in the match are competent, and I thought it flowed really well.
Yeah.
And everybody was where they were supposed to be. They gave their all, but at the same time, why?
Right.
This is Wrestle Kingdom, not throw everybody in a tag team match for Kingdom.
Well, yeah.
And speaking of throwing everybody in a tag team match, Kingdom, and there was no reason for it either. I mean, I guess Sanada and obviously Naito, so there was a reason for it.
Yeah, it was just there.
I was going to have a moan about that, but anyway. United Empire, Great Khan, Jeff Cobb, and Will Ospreay taking on Los Ingobernables de Japon, which is Bushi, Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito. Once again, it was
just there. It was yeah.
This one was maybe a little more sloppy in general, but Will Ospreay is returning from injury.
Right.
Why is he wrestling at Night 1? His first match should have been Night 2.
It should have been, and they lost this match.
That's right. The United Empire won this match. It was
they did. That's
it was a hidden blade. Bushi ate the pin.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Bushi ate the pin.
I thought this was the one that they lost. No, they lost Night 2's matches for the most part.
Yes. So, they touted this as the special rules match.
Right.
This is the Katsuyori Shibata match.
Right.
Ren Narita as the opponent was not the right move. I think it should have. I understand why. It should have been somebody like Zack Sabre Jr.
It should have, would have, could have, but
you have to take what you can get. Anyway, Katsuyori Shibata looked awesome in this match. He said before this, fuck it, we're gonna do strikes because they booked themselves into a corner. They pulled off a WWE here.
Right.
It's like people want to see the PK, but when you have the rules where nobody can strike, you can't do the PK.
Right.
Like, it was so stupid.
I think, wasn't this supposed to be like a traditional wrestling match without strikes? But,
yeah.
But then you have a guy who's known for his strikes come out and face him.
And
we're going to allow strikes. So essentially the special rule is a wrestling match.
Right. I understand why they were so worried about it, because obviously the injury that Shibata had is a really dangerous injury.
Right.
But they did strikes like on the knees and legs and stuff. It would have been fine if you just said it's his return match. Like,
Right.
I feel like it was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Okay, I really like this match.
Yeah.
It was a fun match. Obviously, for the never openweight champion Tomohiro Ishii defending against Evil. The problem is, well, I'll bitch about it later because Dick Togo got involved a little more than I wanted him to. But I thought overall these two.
But I think that's more of a general issue.
Right. It's a general issue that we definitely saw on night 2 more
Right.
than night 1, definitely.
Yes, we did.
But I thought overall this was a really fun match.
It was.
I just thought because it was a title match, the rivalry was really good
Yeah.
too. So I was really, really happy about that.
Right.
And now, well, Evil is at this point double never champions, which I think only Shingo was
Right.
before this.
Right.
But overall, really fun. It was Everything is Evil for a clean pin. I was surprised about that one.
Yeah, it was a clean pin.
So that's why I was pleasantly surprised.
Right.
So we have the IWGP Tag Team Champions, the Dangerous Tekkers, defending against Hirooki Goto and Yoshi-Hashi. This was a great match.
Yeah, it was.
It might have dragged a little bit for my liking. There were a couple of parts where maybe if they ended it there, it would have been a really great match.
Right.
But I thought that number one, the winners were the correct winners.
Right.
They're really pushing Yoshi-Hashi right now. And now, since he's actually won some titles and people are really wanting it.
Right.
And the Dangerous Tekkers were transitional to make sure that those two got over.
Right.
There was a great little thing at the ending of the match where they hugged. I thought that was really cool, especially Taichi and Yoshi-Hashi. Mm-hmm. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
So there was a really feel-good moment. It was a modern world slam, that little finisher that they have for the win. You know, like I said, it was a good match. I really liked it. It's the heavyweight division, tag team division is really strong.
Yeah.
So, and obviously a brand new team. That's what NJPW does really well.
Yep.
Is building new stars, new talents, new teams.
Exactly.
But we'll cross that bridge later.
Right.
Let's talk about I don't want to say never. No, it's not never. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion El Desperado defending against Hiromu.
versus New Japan's favorite junior,
but
Hiromu Takahashi.
But he lost.
Yeah, he lost, which was interesting at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah. I was like, oh, he's totally going to win this. Like I said, I don't mind Hiromu. And I don't mind Hiromu having the belt, but you know, El Desperado.
You know, there are other people in the division, too.
It's so strong right now. There's a lot of great talents that can go for this belt. And just trying to fall back on Hiromu constantly is starting to get a little old.
It is.
But Hiromu should always be in the conversation for the junior heavyweight.
Yeah.
How about him and Bushi go for the tags again? People were really excited about a Bushi Hiromu tag.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, let's get him out of the scene for a little bit.
Yep.
Have... obviously, El Desperado face Yo now because Yo beat Sho. Obvious contender.
Yep.
Heel babyface. Mm-hmm. Great.
Perfect.
But, you know, overall, it was two pinche locos for El Desperado to win. I loved it.
Yeah.
This was such an excellent match. The pacing was very phonetic, but it's a junior match.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt a lot longer than it was. I think it was only like 12 minutes, but it felt like a 20-minute match.
Yeah, it did.
But
not that it was a bad thing.
No. It was paced really well for what they could do with this.
Exactly.
So I was very, very happy about this match. And thank God for the winner. And I think that's why I enjoyed this match even more because of the winner. And finally, for the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Shingo Takagi defending against Kazuchika Okada. Holy crap, this match was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
It was so great.
It was everything that we had expected
and more. I think there was an and more to this. I think at both nights this was the longest match of the show.
Right.
By I think like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But
it was a well-deserved match.
It was a well-paced match.
But that's what happens when you have an Okada match. You get excellence out of it.
You have the excellence and you have pacing where people don't get bored or tired. And I think that's something where you have to play to New Japan is that they know how to structure a long-formed match like this
Yep.
to where you're always interested. There are multiple parts. They tell the story.
Right, exactly.
And obviously you have two world-class professional wrestlers in this ring.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect main event for night number one. And there was a rainmaker for Okada to win, which I was surprised about.
I was not surprised about it at all.
Why? Why were you not surprised about it?
Because I knew that Okada and Will Ospreay were going to have their blow-off match here. The Wrestle Kingdom was going to be the end of the saga between the leader of Chaos and once member, now enemy, Will Ospreay. That was going to be the blow-off match.
Wasn't the original match where right before Ospreay got hurt? No, it was Okada and Ospreay.
It was. That was originally.
That's
the thing.
right.
And then
Ospreay beat Shingo.
Right.
To win to retain the belt, and then he got hurt in that match.
And so then Okada and the rest of Chaos went on this feud with the United Empire, knowing that Ospreay was going to come back. Ospreay coming back now, you have to have the blow-off.
Right. Are we going to be covering night 2 now, or are we going to do a break?
Yeah.
All right, let's go right into number 2. So, triple threat, which I was surprised about, for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, the Flying Tigers defending against the Mega Coaches and Bullet Club's cutest tag team. I did not like how
there was a lot going on in this match.
I did not like this, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the ending of this was really not good because one team was disqualified.
Right. Oh, yes. This was the one with the disqualification.
Yeah, they had because we finally figured out what was in El Phantasmo's loaded boot.
Right.
Which was a thing that was played on for a while.
Right.
But it was in the middle of the match.
Right. It was very anticlimactic after that.
It kind of killed my interest for the rest of the match.
Yeah, it just killed it for the rest of the match. Don't disqualify the team in the middle of the fucking match.
Don't do one team disqualified.
Right. That doesn't make any sense.
It's a triple threat match. Why are there disqualifications for teams in a triple threat match? Have they ever done anything like this?
No.
I feel like these triple threats are still... I'm going to give New Japan the credit that it's still a fairly new thing about doing these triple threats in Fatal 4-Way matches.
Right.
But I feel like there was enough triple threat footage to not book something like this ridiculousness.
Right.
Unless somebody is hurt.
Right. But no one got hurt.
Right.
There was just...
The Flying Tigers are still the tag team champions. Robinson Special. Hooray.
Which is fine. I mean, theoretically, there could be other teams, but, you know.
I think overall it's a fine team.
Yeah.
They work really well together.
Yeah.
And it's something I kind of wish Robbie Eagles was still junior heavyweight champion, but I'm not going to bitch too much about it. So this was the Stardom exhibition match on the main show, so we had to cover it.
Right, exactly.
I'm not going to try to pronounce names because I'm going to butcher them.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Japanese women's wrestling yet.
It was a fun match. It was very frenetic. There was a lot of yelling, and
there was a lot of yelling going on. I don't know how the crowd didn't. Of course, the Japanese crowds they're doing the clapping because of the
they cannot vocally do anything yet.
Right, but I felt like the fans. But I felt like the fans were not really into this match. I don't know if they weren't understanding the match or what the case is.
Here's the thing with something like Stardom, I feel like this probably would have been a better opportunity to do this on maybe a lower end show as an introduction. Not at Wrestle Kingdom.
Right. I felt like Wrestle Kingdom might be a little too big of a stage to debut something like that.
Right. But I thought they actually did really good stuff.
They did really well, but I don't think that the crowd reaction was there because I don't think they were understanding of the whole,
like, why are these people facing each other?
Exactly.
Was there a rivalry that went into this? Maybe if they had like a Stardom belt on the line or something.
Right.
I feel like that would have been a better exhibition than this.
And you would have had to have given the audience a story.
Right. This was a pre-show match, not at the pre-show.
Right.
And it's disappointing because there was obviously great talent
There is
here.
great talent. It was great wrestling, but I don't think the crowd was into it because the crowd was
Because it was an exhibition
Right.
match. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So obviously they're all blank because they didn't put anything in, but it was CIMA, Chase Owens, Minoru Suzuki, and Toru Yano for the 2022 Provisional Trophy. This was a fun little match.
It was interesting.
I thought this
one
Fatal 4-Way actually flowed really well for me.
it did a lot better than the other
Also,
men matches.
Yep, I love Minoru Suzuki as this KOPW provisional. It's some now since
it's something interesting.
Since we had the comedy, let's have somebody who can kill you hold the trophy. That brings a legitimacy to it and something where how diverse this concept can be with somebody like Minoru winning.
I still don't understand the true purpose of the KOPW trophy and just in general.
Here's with KOPW, it's an excuse to introduce different match concepts to the wrestling world. And it was kind of worrying at first, but they were doing hardcore matches and triple threat matches and like traditional wrestling with Great Khan and Toru Yano. They did that traditional wrestling one. They had the one with Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Toru Yano where they had to take a shot of whiskey every 2 minutes, or sake, and they told a story around that. I think it's an experimental thing, and with Minoru winning it, it's going to give a different perspective on this, and I think it's really exciting.
Yeah,
I'm happy that Minoru won.
Okay.
Just in general. Also, it gives him something to do on a regular basis because now he's back here.
Right.
So, and it was a gotch-style pile driver on Toru Yano, which I was surprised about. But obviously, we'll most likely see them again, and I'm excited to see it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For the never Openweight 6-man tag team champions, House of Torture versus Chaos, this is where my total interest in these 6-men tag team belts was almost out the door. This was a really clunky, boring match.
It was.
And it was... the finish came out of nowhere.
The two teams did not flow very well. It seems like they went into first gear and never went out of first gear.
This is where Dick Togo's interference became just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it was to a point where I'm like, okay, fuck this shit.
Right.
But, Sho pinned Yo, which I was surprised about. So now they're 1-1. It's like, why? Have a number one contenders match if you're going to do something like this. It was really stupid. House of Torture retained. Evil now has both never Openweight champions in some way.
Right.
But now he has to go to America and face off against Tommy Lawler for the strong Openweight champion. That'd be fucking cool. Like,
don't see that happening anytime soon, but you never know.
No. All right, so it was the special singles match between Great Khan and Sanada.
This one didn't make a lot of sense to me as just like what is the... I understand it's part of the larger rivalry between Chaos and United Empire, but I didn't foresee a lot of beef between these two.
I sat there and wondered, did the English commentary just not give us context on why these two are facing each other in something outside of the capacity of whatever it is.
Why specifically are they facing each other?
Right.
Like, I understand the beef between the teams, but I want to see the beef in the blood feud.
Last year's was Sanada versus Evil, but Evil betrayed LIJ, and they were the tag teams of LIJ at that time.
Right, because you think with Wrestle Kingdom that they're going to end rivalries and that sort of thing, which they are doing, but at the same time, it's like, why would you just have random matches in the middle?
Great Khan did really well in this match.
He did.
I was very happy with this. I mean, he did like a moonsault off the second rope. I'm like, this guy's like 6'4".
Right, and I don't think it really piqued my interest because I didn't understand the story behind it.
Right, and it was a roll-up for Sanada to win, just for context. But overall, it was a fun match, and which is never bad. A fun match does not necessarily mean it's a bad match. It just means that it was like it was a good match. It was fun. It was something that kept my interest. But it just felt like nothing. Same thing with this match.
Yeah, it was a fun match, but I'm trying to understand. I think I understand a little bit more of the context here because I think there actually is like some legitimate rivalries between these two.
These two I can understand because there is a legitimate rivalry between these two.
So that's why I think that this one made more sense for me on a personal level because they've been going at
Right.
it.
It's Jeff Cobb and Tetsuya Naito. Here's the thing. I feel like when Naito got hurt during the G1, they had to scrap some things.
Right.
His injury was not bad because obviously he was here.
Right.
But it was still to a point where he had to drop out of G1. And I feel like Naito was going to be somewhere within the finals of G1, which probably would have built this a little bit better.
And I think that was going to be the purpose of it, but you just never know.
Right. And they try to do their best given the situation. Okay. I don't know how I feel about this match. So this was the no disqualification match for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion Kenta defending against Tetsuya Naito, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
I was not necessarily. I don't know.
This was a
I'm
weird
trying
match.
to figure out, like, do they know how to use weapons? And
Well, I mean, Kenta had to be pulled from night 3 because he had so many injuries from this. These guys just don't know how to utilize this stuff correctly. And it's through no fault of their own. Keep in mind of Tanahashi's, resume. He went to Mexico and wrestled.
Right.
And that's where he did his excursion, and he came back and he wrestled here for his entire career.
Yeah, it's this thing with a lot of these international markets as well. A lot of these international markets, they like to use weapons, but they really know how to use them.
Right.
I mean, I see the same issue with Mexico.
Hiroshi Tanahashi in a match like this does not fit him. It's like John Cena being in a hardcore match.
Right.
It doesn't fit who John Cena is. This does not fit who Hiroshi Tanahashi is. If it's Kenta.
Right, but
it doesn't fit Tanahashi.
I feel like the hardcore matches, it's really an American phenomenon, and American promotions tend to do it better than other people.
Not necessarily. New Japan doesn't have them. But now keep in mind of what was that one that was a Dark Side of the Ring? XPW. That was a Japanese hardcore show, but the whole thing was hardcore.
Right. The entire promotion was based around hardcore.
When we make this shit majestic again, the disqualification match should have been placed on a different match. Mm-hmm. But Hiroshi Tanahashi hit an awesome high fly flow off of a ladder. Obviously, Kenta got hurt in a couple of different places.
They were very awkward spots too.
They were very awkward. It did not feel like Hiroshi Tanahashi wanted to do this match.
Right.
And I don't like that. If I don't want to go out of my way to have that kind of thing, you know?
Right. To make someone feel uncomfortable. All right.
Okay,
this was the big Haas match that we were all waiting for. I was waiting for this match for like half a year, and it was not disappointing.
This was awesome. Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada for the definitive who is IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Obviously, Okada won with a Rainmaker. Mm-hmm. Just a great match. My problem is, I'll talk about it when we do that. And then, obviously, because Tetsuya Naito won against Jeff Cobb, now Naito's going for the belt again.
Right.
And I told Peanut Gallery this, is that they wanted to keep within the status quo because they just don't know with some of these newer stars. Ospreay's going to win the belt back at some point in time.
He is.
Their
story is not over yet.
They got their cold feet with Kota Ibushi a couple of years ago, and they brought it back, and then they made it up to him by winning both belts because that made sense.
Right. Here's the thing. This is what I think is going to happen because I feel like the United Empire's interest is going away from Chaos, which has been occurring. But we had to have this blow-off match. They're more focused on LIJ. United Empire.
United Empire, yeah. They're not. They're not focused. Well, yeah, no, they're focused on LAJ now. Yeah, you're right.
But you had to finish up this rivalry.
Well, except for Tetsuya Naito. Tetsuya Naito has the interest on going for the heavyweight belt, and Okada is the champion.
But my point is that United Empire was stuck in a rivalry with two different factions.
Well, now Chaos is going to focus on Bullet Club.
Right,
more.
Now Chaos is going to focus more on the Bullet Club stuff. Tetsuya Naito going for the title, I can see why they're...
It's probably going to be within the next month or two. They're not going to wait too long to have Tetsuya Naito go for this belt. at all because they're
Right.
now starting to bring people back from other places in the world. So.
Yeah, so, like I said, this match had to happen because people were waiting for it for a long time.
I can see that,
But their focus was in two different places. Now United Empire can go after LIJ, which is probably where their focus has been heading for the longest time.
Right. All right, so I think we kind of said what we needed to about this. This was a great match and a really good ending. I thought Shingo's and Okada's match was slightly better. That's personal. Anyway, when we come back, we're not only going to make Wrestle Kingdom and New Japan majestic again, but we're going to make pro wrestling majestic again. All right, let's make this shit majestic again. And because there's a lot of interchangeable stuff within the context of these two shows, we might be skipping a lot of night number 1 because we're going to get all of our stuff out for night number 2.
So we talked a little bit about this already with
I believe
LIJ going.
If that was their point, Will Ospreay should have won this match because it would have made sense. The leader of the United Empire as champion faces the leader of LIJ as challenger if that's the direction they're going.
But I think the reason that they chose Kazuchika Okada
because they're playing it safe.
That's one reason, but the other reason too is that in every good story you have to have a hero finishing off. You don't want the evil person. You don't want the evil team to prevail.
I know, but once again, this is where they wrote themselves into a corner here.
Yeah.
Because obviously, it should have been that, and then the rivalry between LIJ and United Empire as a collective would have made more sense.
Right. But, again, let's...
Who in fucking Bullet Club is going to be facing Okada anytime soon? You think Evil's going to go for the
God,
belt? Hell no.
No.
He has the never openweight belts to worry about. I mean, who else within Bullet Club can legitimately go for this belt? That's why they have Naito going for it.
Right. And
the only other contenders are Ospreay, Shingo, and Naito. Like, there's not really and maybe Kota Bushi when he comes back.
I don't really know what direction it's going, and obviously we have Naito and Okada, which is fine.
Well,
it's a safe bet.
It was a safety thing. I knew they were going to play it safe. They always do.
I feel like United Empire is still going to be involved in that somewhere. Mm-hmm. Will Ospreay seeking his revenge, but for Wrestle Kingdom, you wanted to have the good guy to win.
I guess I can see
how
that.
It is.
Right. This should not have been a hardcore match.
All right, so let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk a little bit about hardcore wrestling in New Japan.
Okay.
Like I said, I think that some promotions do it really well, and others just they try but they fail. I want to go specifically to not American promotions, to Mexican wrestling promotions and to Japanese wrestling promotions that don't explicitly do the hardcore stuff. Japan wrestling style is not really fit for hardcore.
There's a lot of traditional stuff with it, which is why when like XPW came out, it was super controversial,
right?
Because like a Japanese show that's all about hardcore, and they went above and beyond hardcore.
Right. Whereas the United States has always had that hardcore vibe.
Not necessarily. I mean, up until like maybe the 90s,
yeah.
they had like steel cages
really,
and stuff, but
right.
it was few and far between.
Right.
Up until ECW came around.
And that's my point. My point is that, and with Lucha Libre just in its style itself, is very spotty.
The right people need to be in a hardcore match for a hardcore match.
Kenta was the right person because he had a lot of training in the U.S.
And also he feels like I don't give a shit badass guy. Like it makes sense for that.
Right.
Hiroshi Tanahashi is the pure form babyface. He is the ace of the company.
Right.
Why is he in a hardcore match?
He is the baby faces of all baby faces.
Right. There's no reason. It's like the analogy of John Cena being in a hardcore match is the same way. Why would you have John Cena hitting somebody over the head or into the back with a chair? That's not babyface.
Right.
Babyface is beating them by pinfall, and that's a problem. Now, I was going to reiterate this, but this stipulation should have been saved for Show and Yo.
Oh, absolutely.
That would have made more sense as a storyline progression because That was a
that was
blood feud.
Yeah, that was a grudge match.
Yeah, they hated each other. They were tag team partners. These two would just face each other for a couple of months.
Right.
It just did not make sense.
No.
And I think Hiroshi Tanahashi was very uncomfortable doing the match.
He was visibly uncomfortable
He was
doing this.
visibly uncomfortable, and I feel bad for the guy. I really do.
And that's why Kenta got injured, because
Right.
I think
it's hard.
I think Tanahashi was just out of his element.
He was totally out of his element. He should not be punished for it necessarily, but you need to think about who you're putting in this match.
Right.
Put Minoru Suzuki, Shoyo, that kind of stuff in this match, because I feel like Tanahashi maybe has had, maybe 2 or 3 other stipulated matches in his entire career.
Right.
It's just Tanahashi, you know?
Right. He's just not
Right.
comfortable.
Once again, I feel like this was just because they couldn't build it the right way because Naito got hurt. No fault of their own. Jeff Cobb should have won. Naito is already a mainstay, and you need to build more main eventers. Jeff Cobb is losing continuously.
That's why he should have not won this match, though, is because you don't make a star by losing.
Yes, no, that's why he should have won.
Well, I think
Him losing was the problem.
I understand that, but the narrative going into this is United Empire is bad, and so United Empire has to lose at the end of the day. That's just the narrative going into it.
Yeah,
you
but
don't want
you are hurting Jeff Cobb in this case. I'm sorry, you're just hurting him.
They're playing it safe, Adam.
All right,
I'm New Japan.
I love New Japan. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I know they're going to turn it around with Jeff Cobb.
They're going to turn it around with Jeff. I'm not worried about that.
Right.
But they have to kind of regroup.
It's the same thing with Sanada.
Right.
Like, Sanada's had a bunch of title opportunities, but they want to play it safe. They don't think he's ready, which is ridiculous, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, and let's go to that, because, again...
Sanada won this match because
Right.
Here's the thing with Jeff Cobb is a different situation because Jeff Cobb, number one, has had maybe a little more singles matches, but also he's older,
Right.
And he has more experience and he has more of that exposure with this crowd than Great-O-Khan.
Right.
So Great-O-Khan losing this did not hurt him.
But
His performance helped him.
Right, but let's talk about the trajectory of a group like the United Empire. And again, I'm going to keep
I'm so worried about it.
So their leader was marred with an injury that took him out of action for almost an entire year. So that didn't help the situation.
No.
And so I think that 2022 is going to afford them the opportunity to reestablish.
I hope so.
United Empire.
I hope so.
Turn it into a viable team. But you just had to finish what you needed to finish for this night. Because now they take some time off afterwards, and that is when United Empire has the opportunity to kind of regroup, to kind of bring people in, and to really kind of build up the system, build up that faction.
Right.
And like I said, I think that they were just marred with so many injuries, especially their leader being injured at a very crucial time in that group's formation.
Yeah, I understand that.
That they just have to reset. This is a great reset for United Empire.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand that. It was a little hard to see especially because they're so new.
Right.
And this is not a show that a lot of people don't miss. This is Wrestle Kingdom.
Right.
It's a much different stage. It has much different exposure.
And this is and again, another reason they want to play it safe.
I'm gonna trust New Japan. They have done this before. They'll do it again.
They've done it with Bullet Club so many times. They've done it with
Bullet Club. With Bullet Club, the problem is here because since we're going into it, let's talk about the House of Torture.
Okay.
Right now, they're a fairly new sub-faction of Bullet Club.
And the reason that they have this sub-faction...
But they're winning, which is the weird thing. But it's... Dick Togo is starting to become...
a thorn in my side.
Yeah, he's starting to become... Like, it's almost to the point where I don't even want to watch an Evil match because he interferes constantly.
Yeah, it's almost like a trope at this point. Like
it is a trope
that Dick Togo's going to interfere.
Literally, people are calling it Togoing.
Yeah,
it is something that is associated with heel evil.
Right.
every now and then is fine.
But
when he was down, if
I,
he was,
I almost wonder if this is kind of a development of character as well. 'Cause
Maybe.
I don't see Bullet Club really existing for too much longer. Because
their thing has really started to cool down. I mean, the subsections like the Elite, which were a Bullet Club thing, the Good Brothers.
Right.
I think they're bigger generally than Bullet Club themselves.
And so House of Torture is just that offshoot. And because Jay White is stuck in the United States for the time being, Bullet Club is really just a relic of the past.
Right.
And I don't think Bullet Club is going to survive going into 2022. So what they're doing with this is that they're establishing a new team.
I understand that.
I think that House of Torture is going to break away from Bullet Club, possibly with the rivalry of some sort mixed into it.
Mm-hmm.
And Evil is going to become the leader of that particular faction.
I get that.
And they're going to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Now, we may not like it, but I think that that's the direction that New Japan is going.
It's almost the same vein as Chaos for me in a way. I mean, Okada is obviously a member of Chaos, but is he really a member of Chaos? He's the leader of Chaos, but is he really even a member?
And I think in some ways yes, but in some ways no.
Yeah, I think he's broken away from it so much, and you have like I said, these sub factions like the Ishii, Goto, and Hashi thing.
Right.
They're Chaos technically, but are they Chaos? There's an association with that. Tomohiro Ishii not being in this match is weird because just doesn't fit there.
Right.
It just doesn't. And you're right. This team, this was like the relic of the past tag team match as it relates to faction wrestling, even though the House of Torture have the 6-man tag team belts right now.
But again, this House of Torture, they're not calling themselves Bullet Club anymore. They're calling themselves House of Torture.
Well, it's like calling the Guerrillas of Destiny a part of Bullet Club. Are they really part of Bullet Club?
Not anymore. I mean, they are, but
they are by name alone. That's
they are
really it.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
pretty.
Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale. They're part of Bullet Club.
But this is what,
right.
And so I think that there's going to be some splits going on.
I think there was no care with this match.
There wasn't. There was too much going on.
Evil's thing with Dick Togo starting to really grind on the gears, even to American fans. They're really starting to see cracks because, like, okay, interference once a match is one thing,
right?
But constantly, where the referee does nothing about it, it's like, okay, come on. Mm-hmm. This is like the third or fourth interference by Dick Togo or something. Let's not do that anymore. Why is he continuously doing it?
I think they're trying to be dicks.
Now, I mean, I guess it's go away. It's whatever. And with Chaos winning the tag team belts, I'm happy about that. So I wouldn't have even done anything differently as it relates to that.
Chaos didn't win this match.
No. I mean, Chaos won the one for the tag team belts.
Oh, yeah. The heavyweight,
The heavyweight tag team belts. And let's talk about a faction that I don't even think we brought up. Dangerous Tekkers are a part of Suzuki Gun.
Yeah, what's Suzuki Gun at this point?
Right. I mean, El Desperado is a champion. Mm-hmm. He's a part of Suzuki Gun. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't even think about that if you didn't know.
Right.
Like, literally wouldn't even know.
So there we go.
Right. I liked this, and I think we really talked about this a lot, but I like how the experimenting is very centralized into KOPW because that is an expectation.
Right. You expect the matches to be a little bit different.
Right, and that's fine.
And Minoru Suzuki, the leader of Suzuki Gun.
Right. And Suzuki having this is going to give a much different perspective than comedy ha-ha because now maybe people take it seriously.
Right.
And who knows what will happen with this. I'm very interested. And I'm really liking where the KOPW is going. Let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. But my problem is the KOPW trophy was basically defended all fucking year. What is the point of having it being provisional until a certain match?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me. No. That was really stupid. We really talked about this.
We talked about this. More context.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
More context. Maybe a title match would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
This was just a pre-show match on a non-pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
This one, once again, why the disqualification?
Mm-hmm.
This made no sense. If they were going to do something like this, take out the mega coaches and have them, or that disqualification or that distraction led to the finish of the match.
Right.
It made no sense where they were taken out halfway through. Okay, let's do it. And what was the point of the triple threat in the first place?
Right. There really wasn't.
There was no point of
Right.
it. And you shouldn't have that for the junior heavyweight tag team champions
Right.
at all, because guess what? You have 3 competent teams here. They have an opportunity to do different things.
Right.
Stupid.
Yeah.
It was just stupid. This was great. I wouldn't have done anything different.
Yeah, and I think we talked a little bit about this, but you
Yeah,
know,
we talked about this in more in context, but let's talk about this match, because we didn't talk about this match. Do you think the decision to put the belt on Okada, just in general, was the right thing to do?
well, putting into perspective what the other match was going to be, absolutely.
Shingo and Ospreay?
No. Okada and Ospreay. That was just the natural conclusion. I knew from the very get-go that Okada was going to win this match. I knew it.
Right.
Because they want to finish Okada Ospreay, which they did.
I guess. I mean, like I said, I was gonna be happy either way, but I feel like I just really hope they didn't hurt Shingo too bad, you know?
I don't think so, but
Man, my mic is like all over the place.
but I wonder if Naito going for the belt is kind of like an homage to, like, hey, I want to get my revenge, or something along those lines. Like, hey,
I guess
you beat one of my people, I want to beat you.
Right, I understand that, but have Shingo go for it. This was great. I'm so happy that Hiromu lost for right now, so maybe he can do something else and give.
I don't know if they know what to do with him at this point. I mean, seriously.
Hiromu?
Yeah, it's like,
Here's the problem with Hiromu. He keeps getting hurt.
yeah.
I think ever since I watched Hiromu, he would have a big spell of being there, and then he would get hurt with something else.
Yeah.
I think they're a little gun shy with Hiromu right now, which is fine. And guess what? With Desperado really picking up that slack and having just amazing matches,
Right.
He was so good, he went for the heavyweight and the Intercontinental Champion as junior heavyweight champion.
Well, that was a traditional match that usually happens every year, right? Or the heavyweight in that one time when the heavyweight and the junior heavyweight
It wasn't for the dual belt. It was never for the dual belts.
Oh, it was never. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It was never for the double belts.
Right.
But it was like, okay, he's actually going for dual belts. It was kind of crazy to think. And, you know, El Desperado being a tag guy for so long,
Yeah.
being put in this position just is great. And I love Desperado.
Right.
He's added so much to this division. And I think Robbie Eagles as well, despite him being junior heavyweight tag right now, he was the heavyweight champion. And I think they're going to put that belt back on him. So the junior heavyweight division has really risen from the ashes. And I'm so happy about that. And Hiromu is always welcome in that spot because obviously he's there.
They got to find something for him to do, man.
They're going to find something. I think this was a good little blow off there for this because I think this was in the net. Once again, you put the nail on the head with Okada and Ospreay. This was just an inevitable conclusion. And I think people did not take Desperado seriously until he beat the standard bearer, which was Hiromu. Because guess who Hiromu beat a couple of years ago? Kushida. Because Kushida was a standard bearer.
Yep. And
So-
now Hiromu is.
Now Hiromu is. And Desperado winning it put him in that spot. It's like, okay, we're giving you the reins. Go for it.
Right.
He's just producing gold. We already talked about this one, so it's kind of hard to, rehash.
Right.
This one, once again, we already talked about it.
Right.
It's hard to rehash.
Now is Ishii a member? Ishii's a member of Chaos.
He is a member of Chaos.
Doesn't seem like it, but he is.
He is a member of Chaos. Yep. He was with Goto and Hashi when they were never Openweight 6-man tag team champions.
Right.
Evil, I like Evil having both never Openweight belts though.
Yeah, it's gonna help establish.
It's starting to rebuild his heel credibility again because it was really lost.
Yeah.
It's hard to really say about this match because they were being so careful with Shibata.
Right.
But now my problem is, where do you go from here as it relates to Shibata? Do you put him in the heavyweight title scene immediately, or maybe have him go for the United States belt and work with somebody like Tanahashi, who maybe can protect him a little bit better?
Right, and see, that's my
What do you do with Shibata? I'm
Right.
happy he's back, but once again, how healthy is he?
I don't know. I don't know if he's a full-time member of the roster
Right.
or what the case is.
Exactly. Is he a full-time member of the roster? He's moving around really well, but I mean,
And part of me thinks that he's not.
I don't think I can't see it.
I think they might bring him out for special singles matches, whatever the case may be, but he's not going to be full-time on this roster.
I think why they and I thought about this, and I think this is going to be the most logical thing right now. Shibata's going to be going into a program with Kenta, and they just don't want the belt on the line immediately, because I think Shibata's going to win that. Because remember, Katsuyori Shibata brought Kenta into New Japan when Kenta was released, and Kenta turning heel on Shibata.
Right.
So that's the most logical way to go right now.
And that's probably what's going to end up happening, but I don't think he's going to be wrestling every single week or every single day,
There's no way he can.
whatever.
There's no way. He's too... I mean, it was a scary injury. Like, he literally could have died.
Right.
We already really talked about this and the future of the United Empire. It
should not have been Will Ospreay. It should have been Aaron Henare instead.
Right, Aaron Henare was there. He wrestled at the Pro Wrestling or the New Japan Rambo.
Yeah. So it should not have been Will Ospreay.
Yeah, that was a really odd choice.
It was.
It was super odd. Once again, there was no point
really
other than building, and we already talked about this already. And here's my problem with this being the opening match. It shouldn't have been the opening match.
No.
This should have been either a sub-main event or even possibly the main event.
Mm-hmm.
If they built this right, which I thought they did, but then they're sitting there wrestling. It's like, if you really hated that person to the point where you're running out and attacking them after matches, you don't sit there and do rest holds and walk around. You want to beat the crap out of that guy.
Right. You want to beat the crap out of each other.
Right. And this, in a no disqualification setting, would have been perfect.
Yep, it would have been. Yeah.
Because it set that standard already. And then doing that, it just hurt it so much, and I hope they're done with it. I really hope they're done with it.
All right, so let's move on to some general what were your thoughts? Well, let's talk. I really want to talk about this whole invasion angle that they're promoting or have promoted for night number 3. I don't know what to think of it at this point.
It's so unnecessarily cliche.
It looks so,
and
I don't know. It looks so forced. This is not.
Why did
normal.
Did you really need to do 3 nights?
Right.
No, it's not necessary.
The only justification for a third night is if you did a night here in America and had some of the American stars that are stuck over here doing some of those matches. Or it should not have been this company versus this company.
Or they've already done this. How about this? Night number 3 of Wrestle Kingdom is all Stardom.
Right.
That would have been perfect.
Right. That would have given...
Have it in a smaller venue. Obviously, Tokyo Dome is maybe like a little bit bigger. I'm not saying because they're women, because Stardom is a newer company. They don't have the lineage of, like, New Japan.
Right.
But have them go to Yokohama Hall like they are and have it be Stardom matches.
Right.
Where it's like, okay, this is what's happening. You get the context. You understand the rivalries. You build something to it. And then it's like, okay, it's something different. But... this whole invasion thing, unless Pro Wrestling Noah is being absorbed into New Japan, there's no reason for it.
And there's no no reason for it.
It's lazy.
Yeah.
Have Stardom, or you're right. What about New Japan Strong? The problem is with New Japan Strong is that I feel like it's so new. I feel like a Wrestle Kingdom with them only would have hurt
It wouldn't have
the
just
name.
been. It would not have just been them. It would have been them, some AEW guys, some Impact Wrestling guys,
I
some
guess,
Ring of
yeah,
Honor
but
guys.
I feel like, well, because, Hard to Kill just happened.
Right.
AEW is doing a couple of different things right now.
But I feel like incorporating them into a Wrestle Kingdom-like show will bring some of that Japanese audience to America and look at some of these American promotions.
I still feel like if they really wanted to do, if they really want to do this thing with Stardom, have a Stardom Wrestle
Right.
Kingdom.
The New Japan versus Noah just doesn't make any sense to me.
It-
There's no reason for it to happen.
It's the last. I mean, Pro Wrestling Noah was created outside of that because I think it was Mizawa did not like what they were doing in New Japan. That was literally why Pro Wrestling Noah exists. But the problem was that was like in the early '90s. Who fucking cares? And
There's no like blood feud. Going on.
there's no reason for it. It's a showcase. It's an exhibition show.
Right.
And guess what? There's nothing interesting about it.
Right.
I'm not interested. If it was Stardom, it's like, hey, let's introduce new people. But you're putting New Japan against Pro Wrestling Noah for what reason? Why is this faction facing this faction?
Right.
Why are these people facing these people? There's no reason for it.
Right.
If you did it maybe on a smaller show like Dominion, maybe I would watch it.
Right.
I have to because this is part of our job, but come on. It just doesn't. I
Right.
don't know. It's just lame.
And, a couple of other things, too. We talked about the trajectories of the teams going into this year.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, they're playing it safe. And they just play it safe sometimes. And, I think that with the pandemic and all these big injuries going on, I think it makes sense for them to be a little safe right now.
They're being cautious, and I understand it from that perspective because, with the Omicron variant really starting to pick up some momentum, who knows what's going to happen with even New Japan in general? Because
Right.
remember,
There
they can still go on lockdown.
Right.
Again.
Right. So, that's another thing. But how safe is too safe?
I feel like with this Wrestle Kingdom, they were a little too safe. Just a little bit. Not a ton. Just a little too safe for my liking. I like them trying something new with Wrestle Kingdoms. And they did it last year and it was great.
Right. But this year, it seemed like it was just business as usual.
Yep.
Okada's the champion. Okada's never held this championship, mind you.
But he's always been marquee.
He is.
And if he's going to be doing other things, because I think Will Ospreay even said, "Oh, you can do movies or whatever." Great, but why does Okada have to hold the title again?
Right.
It's a John Cena holding the world champion again. What is that helping? That helps nobody.
It's helping them sell tickets. That's what it's doing.
You can have them go for the belt, but why does he have to be the champion?
And I think, too, that he was going to be the champion for night number 3, which was the showcase night. So I think
That's true, yeah.
To bring out
They
the best.
wanted him to face Kenji Muda as the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
But the problem is, I don't think is Muda the GHC Heavyweight Champion. I think he still is. Anyway, so that was really it for Wrestle Kingdom. I thought overall I liked it.
Yeah.
Just a little too safe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so next week I already said it because Peanut Gallery got confused. We're doing Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill. We watched it the first night, but we're doing the show next week along with Wrestle Kingdom Night 3.
Which we still have not yet watched.
We have not yet watched it, which we will at some point in time this week.
Yep.
We'll figure that out. But
All right.
we already watched one. So anyway, if you did like this, remember to follow wherever you're listening or watching this on, and become a patron. Follow us on all of our social medias, the whole 9 yards. And as always, be
Majestic.